Where's Steve?
Hey, hold up. Sorry. You need to come out.
I make a motion, we come out of
Sure.
executive session at 2:45.
All right.
Right.
All right, Rex, you want to talk to us
I
about
am
roads?
waiting Steve in here. There's some questions.
Pardon?
Or we have 145.
Sure.
I put it different, that's all right.
Yeah, it is all of a sudden, that sun quit coming through.
All right,
Go ahead.
Okay, Steve, what's the procedure for closing the road?
Watch the board, Steve. For closing the road forever?
I don't know, there's a sign up on this township road. It says road closed and it looks like an official sign.
Well, I don't know which road, I don't know the details enough to
It's
tell
a
you.
mile north of the junction going west.
It doesn't tell me anything about it. It tells me where, but not anything else.
Like what do you need to know?
Well, okay,
What street is?
there are ways to close the roads forever. And you petition, there are ways to close the roads because of washouts and other things, bad weather, whatever. So you can close a road for forever by doing a petition and having hearings, and then you get to the end point, okay?
Now, was the road out of commission? No?
No. Yeah, I was asked by the resident there to put up a road closed sign there so that it wouldn't be traveled through in the wintertime.
It's been up there for a long time. I can't put a sign up on my section line saying road closed or closed without going through all the procedure, correct? I can't put a sign on my section line saying road closed, correct?
You can put a sign up, but it may or may not be effective, but yeah.
But when the county does it, just like when the county does it, that means something, doesn't it?
When the county does it, we're doing it because of protection or something. Yeah. I mean,
And usually if there's a hazard, don't you say something about, washed out culvert or this or that?
you don't actually have to say what.
Well, that road out by us is road closed on it, and they don't say,
Doesn't say why.
doesn't say why.
That one that goes across the crossing,
And it's hard to travel.
and that's because the crossing is up. There ain't nothing out in this here township road. And the township board didn't have nothing to do with it. They weren't informed, the sign was
I'm
just
not sure.
should the sign be removed, there's a good reason for it.
Yeah, we should look at
It's a
this.
summertime road.
Number 2, hauling gravel to roads that aren't on the county system.
And like
What's
what?
the ramifications for that?
Well, I assume you're talking about these townships that, the township.
Pretty much private drive.
Oh, I understand that, but the township authorized it or hired him to do this, right?
No, so not in this township. I'll get to the township later.
Okay, well, explain what you're talking about.
There's a guy, we had a big to-do several years ago. And I'm waiting for the guys from Pier about the map. But anyhow, it's a mile long, it ain't on the section line, and there's big to-do. And finally, he said, well, screw it, I don't want my road on the map. And I talked to him, his road got gravel. That's misuse of county funds or whatever, correct, Steve?
Just because he said he didn't want it on the map, doesn't take it off the map.
It ain't on the map.
We have an official map,
That's right.
right? So is it on the map?
Because the road is,
So is it on the map?
no, it's not.
Okay. So I'm.
Was it on
So
your map?
where's this road at?
in your
Yeah.
office?
I can't say.
Okay.
And Jim Anderson's and the other one up there.
But we've maintained that one ever
I
since.
talked to the state guy. If it ain't on the map, it's not in the county system. And it's not to be done with. And even talked to Lee, and I shouldn't probably use the name, but he said, I didn't call him and ask him to put gravel on that road.
Well, we have others like that too, and we've never been able to,
Steve, what's the word?
I don't know.
The guy from the States says that.
The guy from the state, did you talk to the attorney from the state or you talked to the highway guy?
I talked to a Larry Dean. He said he's been doing it for 20-some years. He said, the county don't take care of roads that are out. I got a deal to where we can. It should have been
Let
brought
me
up.
talk to Larry.
Huh?
Let me call him.
okay,
Well, here's the
just
deal.
for starters on that, we have a road that has a county bridge on it, is not on the section line, and we maintain it. Whether we should or not.
But that road's on the map. Here's a deal that you can do private drives, and I'll let Steve read it to you. But you can make a resolution, get it advertised and this and that, and then the county can do stuff like that. Larry didn't know if they could put gravel on that, he was looking into it, but they can blade it and stuff. If the guy requested, then you charge him for it.
I don't think we've ever charged them. But there's old resolutions way back before you when they made all of those driveways.
Yep, I know that, there's a whole bunch of them on there. Lee Pulaski's isn't, Jim Anderson's ain't. I ain't against them, and I told Lee I'll try to get it on the map if you want or not. That's what this Larry was gonna look into. Cause at one time on that resolution you talked, it was on there, it was listed on all them roads, in 85 or something. But they had that big deal about having to have a sign for that, what the hell, easements. And he said, hell, no, I ain't signing no easement, but it's not on there, and it was gravel. But I don't know if Lowell has a map or if it was explained to him. Because he gravelled all the streets in Gan Valley without talking to anybody on the board. Oh, who'd you talk to?
I talked to Terry Wolf, Carol Graven.
Everybody from Elvira, of the Elvira Township wanted it.
Everybody on the board.
So you didn't
Who
talk to
said
the
nobody
right
talked
ones.
to him?
Oh, there's Carol, she's the one that kind of spearheaded it.
Because we hadn't had gravel in town for a long time. We just thought gravel in Elvira Township, we had gravel. And Lowell said we have gravel, so I said gravel Elvira Township. Yeah. We have the money because we've never,
Did you talk to the board members ahead of time?
no. I didn't know I needed to.
Well, and I put it on computer, but a lot of them streets don't need gravel. And I mean, if it's up to you, but we're getting into this legal stuff. They asked me if I read the commissioner's handbook. Oh, it's that thick. I said, yeah, and there's a lot of stuff been going on today off the top.
They have a bill for it. I sent Elvira a bill,
Bill, yes.
and,
It's paid for too, isn't it?
and the bill is,
You haven't paid for it yet, right?
no, 'cause they only do bills once a year and that's
Oh,
it.
okay.
So,
Okay, I was reading a different one.
so yes, so that has been sent to,
4,000.
yeah, I don't have it here
It
with me,
gets to
but
the point though, whether it's for a personal use or whether it's for a private or public use. And if it's
Well,
personal, you can't even charge them for it.
what's that say, Steve?
Well, it says I think you can sometimes charge the.
You got, I'm
private-
petitioning you, okay? I'm a citizen petitioning you, and you guys gotta read it all and say, yeah, that sounds okay, and then you gotta advertise it. Because years ago, the contractors made a fuss, oh, the county's doing work and screwing us out of business. So that's why you gotta advertise them, and then if somebody wants his driveway bladed, you set a rate for everybody, like, whatever. And you keep track, it took me 20 minutes, so he owes the county $100 or something.
Yeah, you can.
Then you ain't got all this fuss about who's getting their driveway bladed as long as they're reimbursed.
You can approve and do that. The question is whether, they're grandfathered through. Because we've been through
Grandfathered, so what,
before these statutes were passed,
Yeah.
some of which, this was passed in 94. Some of these are.
oh, a lot of these have been done for 50 years.
No, we're not talking, there's roads that are on the map, okay? There's no, the county can do it. It's the roads that aren't on the map. Like Jim Anderson's and I can't think of the other ones, and Matt Sankey's, yeah. And Matt said a year ago, he said, I'd gladly pay them if they'd come in and blade my road. And well, the way it is right now, you can't touch his road. Correct. If it ain't on the map.
I don't know that, because we don't know what all the history is.
Well, maybe you wasn't, but there was a big fuss. It's a fairly new road. He just moved his new house on there a few years ago, right?
Right.
And they said, well, you can't touch your road, Matt.
That what we had different states attorney back then, and he was big on, he didn't want us doing any of these.
Lee Ness's can't get done. His was done at the same time.
Yeah, and I that's what my point was. I said, well, why the hell, you might as well do everybody's, because there's a lot of these roads that wind down that you do, like your road ain't all on the section line. And
No, it's not, but it was declared a mail
I know,
route,
right,
and it was declared years and years,
yeah. And I'm
60-some
saying,
years
well,
ago.
why can't Matt Sankey's or Lee Ness, I mean, they're doing everybody else's, but no, but if you do that, you make a resolution, then you advertise, and then you say, yeah, we'll do that, and we'll charge you, whatever. It's not that difficult, is it, Steve?
No, but what I was saying to you is, like the newer roads, we should probably be petitioning on. The old roads, we don't know the history on.
Well, most of the only one that I know of, and maybe I'm wrong, is Lee Pulowski's. That was maintained for 100 years and it was on that list of driveways in 1985. And then somehow it got took off. And I know because we had the sheet, all the names. And that state guy couldn't find it that had been on there. But it had been maintained forever, correct, Lloyd?
Oh, absolutely, it was maintained before I was on the board.
Yeah. And that's no
And-
problem. And
There
then
was
I
a
think
big
Kenny
fuss
got
about that even.
the gates was closed a few times, so Kenny got mad and there was a big fuss on it. I don't know if Danita was on the board then or not. But I'm just saying, if it can do everybody else's road.
So
Either.
you're saying you want to get every private road approved, right?
No, I approved this petition, so if, like Lee said, I'll pretty much take care of it, but he says if I could pay him to come in once a year at his request, then he said he'd pay him. But it's just the fact that right now you have to get somebody from, I don't know, I think Matt got somebody from Miller to come blade these roads. And I'm just saying, if you say this is okay to do private roads, it'll be legal then, right?
But I would guess that if they approve to do private roads, they're not gonna approve to do private roads when he wants it done.
Well, no, I mean, let's see how it was, he doesn't want him just coming in there and blading it, and he'd have to pay him whatever. He said, kind of a back and forth thing, come up when you're up here, swing in and blade my road or something, okay? It wouldn't be up to Lowell to do it, and it wouldn't be up to, if Lowell was going by, then you could do it.
So you're saying he should bring the petition in so we can.
Well,
get it
I'm
done.
petitioning right now.
I think the petition has to be in writing.
Dave said not. I talked to Mr. Larson.
Any resident of the county may petition the board to hold a public hearing on whether the county should contact with the owner. And the problem is when we don't do it in writing, well, it may be allowable. You think
It's
the
on
record will be
tape.
very good? You think the record will be very good in 20 years, like since the Pulaski Road? The written piece always helps.
I asked Dave Larson, okay.
And then he
He's
said you
kind
could.
of your boss, ain't he?
Then he said you could. Does
He
not mean
said
you
that-
should. There's a difference, okay?
Now who's being ornery?
I'm not being ornery, I'm being realistic. But don't you understand that if we have a petition, well, there'll be
Well,
something?
it'll go in the minutes if they approve it. it'll be in the minutes, and you say, look in the minutes, the county approved doing private driveways for a fee. And you
all we're
think
gonna do is-
having that petition wrote out, Deb is gonna file it, so 30 years later, somebody can come in and see if it was a written.
Well, what we have
petition.
right now is just open meeting though, so I don't even write this stuff down.
No, but
So
if
we're
they-
in just public input right now, so this won't even be in anything.
And I am saying that, but if they go ahead and look at this and read, that looks like a good idea, it'll be in there.
Well, this is gonna definitely need some research. We need to treat people alike, not
That's what I'm saying, Lloyd. Right now, they're not.
Shouldn't be on the
Should,
agenda.
we should put it on the agenda. Look at it.
We'll put it on the agenda and look at it for next week.
So we meet now.
Yeah,
So,
On the 3rd,
so Pulaski's driveway, you don't do snow removal whatsoever,
Pardon?
do you? On Pulaski's driveway, you don't do snow
if it
removal?
gets snowed in, I think we have been for years. Before I was a commissioner, there was an incident up
before, but
there.
I don't think he do, and he wasn't supposed to be gravel,
I don't do any snow removal on Pulaski's Road.
but you put gravel on
Yes, I
there,
did.
and that's not right, is it, Steve?
I thought we approved Pulaski under the
It's
grandfather.
not on the map, and that's why he's trying, that guy at the state was gonna look, but he ain't on the map. You look at his road and it's not on the map.
But everybody just said he was on the map, but somehow he got off the
Years
map.
ago,
So how did he get off?
they can take it off.
Did they take it off by mistake or because?
I don't know, but it ain't on the map. It ain't nobody writ out a form and give to me that was took it off, but it's not on the map.
Well, all I can say is you need to research all the,
This
where we
is the
gravel
county's money.
and if it's, we need to treat people alike, and if you're gonna do one, put a petition out, you gotta do everybody.
It's good for everybody. It ain't for me. My trail is, I can pretty much take care of the gravel in my driveway. It affects everybody that's got a private driveway, which is not very many.
I think your point is if you gravel Lee Pulaski's, you need to gravel Matt Sankey's and
Absolutely.
Jimmy Anderson's.
And Anderson's and Lee Ness's.
And right now, it's not legal.
Well, you're coming on. You're the one that's gonna have to make
I
it
just got
legal.
that right there. There's two that's gonna vote against me, so
I don't remember getting that.
Did you know we were gonna do that today?
Don't even know what the hell we're talking about.
well, let her read that.
yeah, we got it on for next week, so I don't know if we wanna move forward.
Yeah.
You might wanna pull those old resolutions.
Well,
We'll
I would say
I'll get
this,
a copy
Frank.
of that and I'll put it on the
You need
agenda.
We're gonna move on, but you
Just
need to
wait,
come in.
just wait.
Is he on, so I think he's on, still on
Now, I
that
should
agenda.
let
Right.
Steve explain that, but Steve was told by a county employee that they was gonna charge Steve for,
Blading the road, right.
What's going on with that at this point in time? Because they came back, they pushed the gravel over, which they should never blade it that time of year anyway. They pushed it over, pushed it back over to the outside, and then they did the first 4 miles, and then a week later, they came back and did the rest of it, but they didn't do the first time, and they tilled it. So they went up that road 6 times with a road grader, 1 time with their tiller thing, and they wouldn't have had to do anything except fix a few
I drove
bad
it.
spots.
I drove it.
Yeah.
It all started, it was a warm afternoon and they were forecasted to get below 0 for several days. And I bladed Brian's driveway because it was all chopped up with washboards up that hill. And I come down the road and I stopped on top of the hill and I called Lowell about, I don't know, 3, 4 o'clock. I said, "What's going on today, Lowell?" He said, "We're cleaning the shop." And you know, my idea is these gravel roads, when they're full of washboards at the ends of the stop signs and coming and going off of a highway or another road or the driveway, you need to address that before it freezes up, because after it freezes up, you can't do anything with it. And I said, well, I'm gonna blade from the hill down to the highway and peel these washboards out of the road. Oh, he said, I'll come up in the morning and do it. I said, okay. I said, that's fine. So I turned around and I went home. But I said to him at the same conversation, I said, the whole road does not need bladed. The road was fine. There was absolutely nothing wrong with the road. And they went, the next day they come up there with 2 blades and they pulled the shoulder in from one side going north, all the way up to Alpena Road, turned around and pushed it back over to because when you go with 2 blades, it was all the way over on the west side. And it was 2 feet tall. I got pictures of it.
Digging up all the grass and
Grass
weeds and crap on the shoulder, the end of November, for no reason.
So then they went down, pushed it back over on the east side and left it like a third of the way out in the road. So like I met the bus like a day or 2 later and I had to pull over on top of that windrow and stop to let the bus go by. And across all the approaches, like my driveway, everybody's driveway that I saw in our section line that we use all the time, there was a 2-foot windrow of dirt and weeds and gravel across it. So Brian took the loader and he scraped them clean and put it right in the corner of the approach where.
Before it froze, because the next day got cold right away then. Otherwise, you'd have a big ridge of crap to bounce over there all winter.
And then they came up there after that with a payloader, made a special trip to back drag gravel out of those crotches of the approach, which you wouldn't have got 2 5-gallon buckets of gravel, because it was mostly, I mean, I got pictures of it. It's sod and
Dirt,
weeds and
grass.
dirt. And
Can I stop you right there a second?
sure,
If there was 2 foot of gravel going across your approach and you pushed it in the ditch, there would be more than two bucketfuls of gravel.
it wasn't all gravel.
Well, same thing.
But you didn't reclaim jack diddly of nothing that I scraped off the end of them driveways.
So
That was a
now,
total waste of time there.
so now this is what we got going on now, spotty on the road, but there's that loose, then he chopped it up with that, what's that called? Mulcher deal. So now that's laying there loose, and now they're winging snow off, so there's where our gravel's going. In the ditch.
But there was zero reason to blade the road
None.
6 times.
I even told you that the road was fine, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
So why would you blade it 4 times then?
Because I had another person up the road that said it was choppy up there and it needed some fixing.
So you bladed the whole road,
I bladed the whole
and
road,
you pulled both shoulders up.
not 6 times, but 4 times.
4 times the first time, and then you came back, you went up with 2 blades, up and back, that's 4.
That's all we did.
And
And
then
then you pulled the
Then we
windrow,
mulched it,
no,
you pulled the windrow in with the blade and you turned around and pushed it back out with the blade. And then you mulched it.
there's a picture of it right there. That's right south of my house.
Yeah,
That's the 5th time.
at the end of the day though, we mulched it and there are some gouges in the road because the road does have a different pitch to it in certain places. And it's hard to, when you got that much snow on the road, it's hard to run the V plow, the blade.
I totally understand.
Yeah,
But if you didn't have that loose, fresh windrow of tilled gravel and dirt there,
it's still on the road up there.
Some places it's not.
Some places, yes, I will agree with that.
But there was zero reason to have any of that on the road.
How can we resolve this?
The reason that we were cleaning shop that day, because I thought the road was in good enough shape for
Air it
winter.
out, and then we're gonna talk.
And it was last Sunday night, we went down to Brian Howard's, he had a sea corn supper.
Yeah,
And I think Brian drove down there, you drove by yourself. We went down that East Shelby Road and it was fine. I mean, snow was bladed off it. You get to Ellen Fagan's corner coming west and it's a good road, so you can drive 50, 60 mile an hour on it. So you get to that spot and there's like 200 feet of big washboards. And it about throws you in the ditch at 40, 50 miles an hour.
you should slow down then.
That's a really poor answer.
Well,
You
it's,
should be able to take your red pickup when you're driving around and go check that kind of crap out before winter set
well, I
in.
tell you what, you guys drive south of Shelby Road on Brewer County or drive Lyman County, and I'll promise you, ours are grand. You can't even go south of our place and hit Brewer County and drive 35.
But this is a good road, and then out of the middle of nowhere, you hit washboards.
Well, I'll tell you what, Steve, if I knew about it, or if I went and looked at it, I would make sure it got taken care of. The problem here is we got 13 different opinions on how the road should be maintained. And we sit here and we listen to this, and we're not sure who's right, who's wrong, or anything else. You're gonna have to accept the decision that the highway superintendent made, and if that isn't correct, we will address it. But we don't even know who bladed it last. And when you take these things in your own hands, and I'm fine with what happened, really, but we cannot fix things when we got so many different entities that we're dealing with here. We just can't.
But the steel on our road was totally self-inflicted by the county because they should never pull up the shoulders in the end of November, 1st December.
We will be addressed, but I won't be here. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. But it will be addressed, I'm quite sure, but you gotta give us a chance to deal with it, first of all. I mean, with this situation of 20 different blades up there, we have no idea, and 20 different opinions besides of what should have happened. It's not that, it's just impossible. And I would say, let the county handle it. If they aren't handling it correctly, will be addressed one way or another. I'm sure of that. But especially, a driveway, that's a little different deal. You don't expect them bladed very often anyway, and you're the only one basically driving it. But when it's a public road, you gotta let the county handle it. That's my.
I don't think they should be threatening people, the county employee.
No, they shouldn't. Nobody should be threatened.
I never threatened anybody.
Didn't he tell you?
You told me that one day that what we've done up here in the last 2 days, you're gonna pay for it. That's what you told me.
Yes, I did.
And who told you that?
County commissioners.
Well, I said if there's damage to a road, the person doing it will have to pay for it. And in this case, we're not gonna sit here and argue with right, wrong, or anything else. But it's a point to remember in the future. It's up to the county, and you let the county deal with it. If it's a public road, if it's your own road, I can see doing things.
It's a liability if you go out with your things on the public roads. Again, it goes back to a liability if somebody would run into you. It comes back on the county.
What's gonna
It
happen?
was a major liability when there was a windrow of crap 6 feet on the side of the road where you couldn't meet somebody on the hill.
What's gonna happen for liability when somebody plows into that? This is a mailbox. This is my Olson's driveway. And for some reason, I mean, it's a vacant place. That's the windrow of out in the middle of the road. That's the way it was left. That's from one direction. That's looking at it from the other direction.
You know, as time goes on, these things will get fixed though, Steve.
I know, Lloyd, but what would happen? You talk about liability. What if,
Shouldn't that done?
The weather comes into play here, and you can go anywhere you want, and you're gonna find places where people can get stuck, plain and simple.
So for instance, the places that have nobody living there, they have a mailbox post there for no reason. Should the county pull them out or what? So they don't have
The
that
county has
happen.
authority to.
What's that?
The county doesn't have authority to mess with mailboxes. That's up to the post office.
That's a
They
federal.
can tell people, like that one over there, it's a mile off the road, nobody lives, comes out once or twice a year. That guy from the States says, you tell him if he wants mail every day, move his mailbox to the highway. The county ain't liable just because there's a mailbox there. They do not have to maintain the road.
I believe that.
So
Well,
when the mailbox on loose, so I think they can accidentally get
bumped over?
bumped over.
So what's going on with our road as far as us paying for it? Is that
no,
happening? or-
well, I didn't ask the other commissioners. I'd say no.
Well, let's get it figured out now.
I'll make a motion, we do not charge the Rodners.
Throw me in
Oh,
there.
Jackie.
Or the
Don't even have a mailbox.
Did you second it?
Oh, yeah, don't charge me, yes.
All right,
Aye.
you're not gonna be charged, okay? But
Okay.
let's not be getting everybody all upset and confused about who's maintaining the road. We'll take the responsibility of maintaining it. If it isn't done correctly, you'll have, let somebody know and it will be dealt with, but not everything gets dealt with immediately in a
What about
county
digging out
situation.
then, Lloyd?
Pardon?
What if you gotta get out, you got something, you gotta get to the highway?
Well, I do the same thing. I get to the highway.
Well, correct, you just said that they're not supposed to mess with the road,
That,
but if they got a big snow.
Let's use some common sense again.
I know, I realize.
Could you guys just tell me what that was? I don't know what it was. I mean, I hear that you said the Rodners are okay, but I don't even know what that is.
Well,
Are they okay?
We're charging them.
we're
For
gonna
charging
charge
them
them
for
for
the
blading
road.
the road, or repairing the road after they bladed. That's a point to be considered when you do it again, is my thinking.
When they leave a 2-foot windrow gravel across your driveway and you push that out of the way so you don't bottom out your car.
Well, I would suppose you could, if that's that way.
There's more people that are on here.
Oh, Lord, thank you. Are you done, Rex? Emergency? Did you?
I could go on with it, I'm done.
All right.
Oh, yeah, that deal.
This,
That guy from, she probably never called back.
nobody's called back yet,
But
because I have my
that guy-
phone going, so.
Emergency management in or 10 counties said that you should pass a disaster declaration now, since you ain't gonna meet for a while, so they can, if they ever get hold of, what's her name?
Catherine Benton.
Catherine Benton, that she could start some paperwork if you could light a fire under her.
I did not get anything from the state. Usually
Well,
Christy
he
Nolan
said, I
said
think he
something
said
out.
it's more of a federal deal.
Well, I've called and left Catherine Benton messages on some other stuff and she's called me back.
Has she? Well,
Yeah,
maybe she'll call you back.
Yeah, we have a message out to
But-
her.
yeah.
The way I understand it, there's a lot, but it sounded like it was more federal money for a disaster to dig out. And he said that then the state, if you could talk them in, could come in with snow blowers and this and that where they can't normally. And use state equipment.
I think she's engaged the state, National Guard. National Guard's going on in Pine Ridge.
Well, that might be,
Yeah.
they just said that, and they had a
And
big trouble with.
sometimes she doesn't call me back till 9 too.
Oh, If I hear from her, well, you have her number, we gave your number, so hopefully she calls you back for me, so.
But she does call back, sometimes it'll be in the evenings, then I'll get a call back.
Dawn or somebody here, 'cause I'm not smart. I'm just suggesting.
I'll try to remember I'll write it on.
Let's move on. We have Susan yet with the highway department.
Yeah, just sitting there listening to all that stuff, you said you got 20 different people saying they got complaints and whatnot. I'm thinking, maybe if we had a competent highway superintendent, we wouldn't have these problems. When you hired him a year and a half ago, you gave him that pickup so he could be here when we had one of these situations. Where was he at? Home. Where was the V-plow sitting? In the snowbank. They weren't on the blades. He was late to work yesterday, from what I understand. We had a competent highway superintendent, or if you would hire one, that'd eliminate a lot of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. All right, let's move on. Lowell, well, first of all, we have fuel bids. I assume that's in
It's
my
on,
packet.
It's on
you
our
just moved the
packet.
next one. Here, you just read mine.
Unleaded
Thank
bulk price, $3.66. Ethanol bulk, $3.06. Diesel, number 1 dyed, $4.70. Number 2 dyed, $3.49.
Do we have a motion to accept the bid from Total Oil?
I'll second.
All right.
Aye.
Okay, Lowell, can you give us our road report?
Yeah, as far as, this is kind of a two-month deal. But, back in November, C&B out of Miller took back the lease tractor back to Miller. We graded roads until the 7th of December. Plowed snow on the east and west Shelby Road on the 9th of December. The black Western Star truck is back at the shop. Overwigs put injector cups and O-rings in the head so it would run. Myrick's rebuilt the end gate lack mechanism in the Western Star dump truck so that works properly. I made calls and said they would have a final report and recommended options on the Larson Bridge by the middle of January of 23. We did some painting in the shop office, which spruced it up a little bit. And ever since the 14th of December, we've been plowing snow every day that the weather would allow us. We did not work because we couldn't get to work or couldn't see to get to work on December 15th and 16th, and the courthouse was closed. Work weekend of the 17th and 18th was on Saturday and Sunday, and we went Saturday and Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and up to the 22nd of December. We had another day that we could not get to work, and the wind was blowing 50 miles an hour. But we did work the 23rd and Christmas Eve day on the 24th, and we worked Monday and Tuesday, yesterday and today, which would be the 26th and the 27th. That's all I have, except you'll find in your agenda about we got a check from Ellen Speck for
You guys have it, looks like this. Yep.
Mhm.
she wanted to pay for graveling her on Marshall Avenue. I never did I did bring the check over to Deb, and like the paper says, we don't know how to proceed with it. I'd like to have the commissioners make a ruling on it.
Looks like
They
this.
better
Here,
dump
you just
your
want to read
legal
it.
counsel.
Okay.
I don't think you can take money.
It says we received a check from Ellen Speck, $342.45. Mrs. Speck requested and received gravel for Marshall Avenue, and Highway Superintendent spread the gravel. Treasurer, auditor, and highway superintendent discussed and not sure how to proceed.
So I wasn't sure if maybe that check goes to Elvira. I
Well, I
wasn't sure.
don't think,
Yeah, better wait for Fox and see what he says.
The town roads?
passed and then
I've always said I would pay it. So I paid it.
Yep. In the end, Elvira Township was billed for it.
Yes.
Yep.
Can I change that to Elvira? Because
just wait, I
we
don't
didn't
know
know
if it's
what
legal,
the-
you can.
Wait until March, Ellen.
Oh.
We go through this with township.
Okay, all right, we're referring it back to
Yep.
Elvira.
Yep,
Yes.
So Ellen, I'm gonna give this check to you then.
Oh, it didn't go through then.
No,
No.
I still have it, and so
Well, I-
we'll just deal with it in March. Is that how you're saying it? Okay.
Okay, Lowell, back to the rental tractor.
Yeah,
How did that turn out? What did that cost? Did we have extra hours on that?
yes,
Or,
we did. We had 352 hours on it and, no, we had 338 hours on it.
okay,
And they took it back and they're gonna charge us $25 an hour over 250 hours.
okay, so basically another 100 hours,
Right,
90 hours.
90 hours, 98 hours. Or not quite, about 90 hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 25, and 342 hours times what? It all was $25 now?
The rate was 25 straight across.
So what's the total bill for that about? I mean,
We've never received a bill from them yet.
okay, but 300 times 25, that would be
Pretty damn.
$7,500, 8,000.
$8,550.
Did you have
Cheap,
two
there's an ad for tractors,
150
145
hours?
horsepower, one at 24,000 a year, these went to a farm, which figures out to like $80 an hour, so.
I don't know what we got, but ours is 14,000 a year that we're paying on a lease.
How big a tractor is that?
Oh, I can't even remember. And
It
it's,
was in the paper and I just figured out.
Yeah, and we get 400 hours.
Yeah, see, this is only like
So-
300, but yeah.
Not,
but I still
overall,
think
it's
it's
a
pretty
pretty good
cheap.
deal, or it's
Pretty cheap.
just
Yeah.
well stayed that way.
Just so you can get one.
Yeah, that'd be the, but I think they're loosening up more than they
Yeah.
were.
Well, I know the town of Chamberlain, they actually paid them to take a tractor and put hours on it. The
Really?
city, yeah.
Okay,
Can't you get up with the state? Because that's how the state was out there. They put out a bid and John Deere was actually paying the state to use their tractors.
But
Well, I know they
those
did
were
the
old
city.
deals. I mean,
this was just
several
a year
years
ago.
ago it used to be, but now,
Did they change that?
well, I don't know. We
They
sure have to
Chamberlain
pay
just
more.
used, did
Or
it
else
this
we're not
summer.
getting the.
Yeah, they paid Chamberlain City Department this summer to put hours on a tractor. So they could use it for a lease tractor.
Well, we'll
I don't know
have
how
to
big
wait
it
and
was.
see, I guess.
So,
that's all I have, Lloyd.
All right.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Lee, you got some issues with us, grants and weeds.
Okay, let's start with that. We remember last meeting, we made a motion to use, the county, let's see, up to 10 million of the ARPA lost revenue, for wages and salaries. Today, there should be a motion to make the transfer of the first half of the ARPA funds that's been received.
It looks like this.
I think
all right.
I put it up.
So go past the Lopez thing
Right
there.
here. Somebody needs to make. a
Then go
motion.
one more.
Oh,
I gave it to him.
Oh.
So with this being said, in 2022, we added up all the salaries, come to $366,042.20. We've projected 2023 And we've also added up what we spent for Wellmark Blue Cross Blue Shield in 2022. And that far exceeds the 190. So we need to take the 190, 190,000 and whatever, and move it from the 290 ARPA fund
Yeah.
and move it into the general fund, 101.
And it's a 2-year, right? So
We've
if there's a
got
little
till
bit extra, we can put it into the next year.
There won't be any extra. So the second half will come, we'll do the same thing. So by doing this, it moves it into the general fund. We've met all of the requirements.
Cool.
And so that's the next step.
So I need a motion to move $190,769 to the general fund.
I'll move.
I'll second.
All right.
Aye.
No, we're not sending any money back this year,
No.
right? Thank you. God, I couldn't believe we did that shit.
The second half should be here, it's gotta be 12 months after the first one was received. So
Anytime.
we should, we'll expect to see some guidance from the Treasury on that. Nothing new to report on the LATCF. As we said before, that first half is here.
So the LATCF is, if you guys have that
Yeah.
there, Lloyd.
Yeah.
First deposit was 51,000, the second one will be.
It went into the bank in November,
So
right?
that's the next 2 grants, the run where it says LATCF, those 2. And so that's what he's working on right now.
Okay,
One's already in the bank and one's coming.
cool.
As far as the weed grant, as I said last time, everything has been met to this point.
I'll interrupt.
There's a convention in
I'm up next,
February,
so-
we talked about that this morning, and we'll attend that. We had another meeting this morning at 10:30, and in that meeting, we added musk and plumeless thistle to the local noxious weed list.
We had nothing on our noxious, that had expired a couple
It
of years
expired.
ago, so
Oh,
we had nothing on it, so.
I
So
guess I thought must have gone.
I'll follow up with that, send it to the state, it'll be added, and therefore we can control it. That's in addition to the, what is there, 7
7.
state noxious weeds
Granules.
on the
That one
list.
that Glenn Mayers talks about, that's on.
No,
Yeah,
that's,
that,
Palmer Amaranth.
yeah, or that's what the thought was, but I saw some too that I thought looked like Palmer, it had that little tip on the end of the leaf. I took pictures of it and Brenda didn't think it was, but again, we gotta have someone come in to verify that's what it is, and then that kind of changes things, so.
So it's on the list or not?
No, Palmer's not.
We have to have it verified, we have to have somebody, and then we can put it on there.
Well, I found some saying it was a male Palmer Amaranth
Steroids, it's a stall, you know, sticks out like.
Where was that at?
on Shelby Road.
How many weeds did we get sprayed summer of 22?
We didn't spray anything.
Because why?
Well, it's so dry.
First of all, Lowell had COVID and
All
that,
summer?
well,
Well, and that
Spring
didn't
went-
have no money either.
spraying when you shouldn't be is a
We
whole
didn't have
nother
the grant
ballgame.
last year, we
Yeah.
didn't get the grant last year.
Spray in the fall,
Pardon?
spray in the fall.
It was so dry, I wouldn't have done a thing unless you used Grazon or something of that sort, and
Weed growers wouldn't even come spray.
I very negative about that. So next year you can do it differently.
We'll talk about that going forward too, how we approach next year.
We decided we were gonna meet in February.
Yep.
Before our meeting here, so you're welcome to come.
I gotta put the minutes together and I'll have those posted. Website's down today. We'll get that fixed too, and once we do, we'll put everything on the website.
Thanks for telling us that. We had no idea.
I saw it this morning at 6:30 and
Okay,
kind of got busy from there.
sure. All right, are you, got anything else, Lee?
Yes, been working with Derek on a report from the fire department every January. And that's due the 31st, so we got time for that. I think Jake put something together. We had one from years previous
Okay.
as an example, so been working with Derek on that. And our 5-year county highway and bridge improvement plan has been approved. So got
Okay.
this on the 20th.
Is that FEMA one?
Nope, this is a 5-year.
5-year plan.
Highway transportation.
So now I'm gonna jump into this real quick. We need to take just a minute to talk about this. We've mentioned this before. This was the audit from June of 21. And we answer these audits, sent it back to SDML, and by doing so, we had received a credit on our insurance of $546. So what I handed out was some of the action items that I addressed. One of them was blocked exits. What I told them is that items were removed, and that's been long taken care of, and then I stressed urgency on blocked exits in the meeting. The next one on the next page was the body armor. Recommended, a plan to develop, provide soft body armor to all officers. Several options available. Entities pay the full cost, there's reimbursements. So what I told them is that I'd review with the board of commissioners and recommend to the board what is needed. So whatever we need, I would recommend. So I'll have to follow up with this if you need.
You know, if Wayne needs a new vest, we get a new vest. So that's.
So whatever we need there, we'll get. And the second, the last page, written policies and procedures for employees, that's the handbook. That's been done. I told them it was done. And I have put the handbook into a binder. And it's available in the office here. And then there's acknowledgement sheets. I did the first one, signed and acknowledged that I've read and understood the handbook. So
So do all the employees sign that?
normally, yes.
Okay.
Yep, normally, yes. So the handbook is here and done. On the topic of handbook, there's 3 other forms I'm working on. And one of them is an accident incident report form. So if anything happens, something breaks, a near miss, somebody gets hurt, the handbook says you're to report it immediately to your supervisor, and then it's documented with this form. So accidents, incidents, near miss, that should take care of that.
So when that documentation comes to, let's say, the highway superintendent, does he file it or does it come over here to be filed back there?
Bring it to me.
Okay.
The other thing I'm working on, probably a little bit later down the road, is performance evaluation form. The handbook talks about that. We'll need something there. And then lastly, on the audit, they flagged there should be a formalized written citizen complaint form. I have a draft of that put together. I'll be finalizing that. Once we do so, I'll submit it for approval. We can post it on the website, whatever we want to do there. So 3 forms I'm working on. And I think with that, sorry for the mess. The monitor going forward, we can have overheads. I intended to have all this on overhead and just didn't get that far today. So we can have our meeting video on there, overheads, anything we want. Thank you, Deborah, for everything in the courthouse. Looks real nice. All your efforts for the Christmas celebration. Janice made the sloppy joes. Thank you, Janice. And thank you, Lloyd.
Yeah, thank you all for everything
Your
you've
service.
done. Thank you. Steve?
I think Rex needs to be commended on going out when nobody else could get here with a payloader and plowing out some trucks on the road,
Yes.
plowing up some gravel roads knocking holes in drifts. And he needs reimbursed for that.
Otherwise, no one would get out unless you went and dug yourself out.
It's been discussed.
No comment right now. Thank you, Little Rick.
He's probably got more hours than the superintendent's got.
And insurance too.
All right, let's move on.
Lee, do you have anything else?
That's it, thank you.
Thank you, Lee.
So then we're up to Wayne.
Okay, Hughes County contract for JSC service.
But I can discuss this part of
All
it
right.
since Wayne's kind of talking. I have 3 contracts that have come through. This one's the Hughes County, and this is the juvenile services. So if we approve that one, you and I have to sign off on that one.
Okay.
I just want people to be aware that it's here.
They should have them.
Yeah, pass it over, she can see
Just
it.
wondering if
Plus,
there's an increase. Usually feel like a 250, 290.
It's kind of an expensive.
Well, it's because of the kids.
Kids, right.
Prisoners too now.
Okay, it's 295.
It's about what it was.
That's probably about $10 more than we got.
So,
Yeah, that's fine.
okay, so, and I think, do we have to make a motion for those?
I'm sure so.
Okay. So you probably should do it
Set
per,
per.
so Hughes
separate.
County contract for
I make a
JSC.
motion for the Hughes County JDC contract. 295.
I second it.
All right,
Aye.
motion carried.
Okay, we did cover this one while you were here, the Hughes County one. Do you want to talk about the other 2, or do you? The other one's gonna be the jail contract, and the other one is that new one that just came through.
Okay, we'll talk about the new one,
You wanna talk about the new one?
the contract with,
Both of these are
Rural
rural,
County.
yep. Rural County Jail, and then Rural County, whatever the
law enforcement.
law enforcement.
You want me to talk about it, okay?
Yep.
We've been trying to obtain help, as we had some backup on law enforcement, when Wayne's sick or gone, or whatever it needs to be. And so we've been dealing with Brule County. Brule County sent us a proposed contract to do that, all right? And basically what the contract says is, they would provide services, they would provide a car, they provide everything. We pay them a flat fee, $40,000 a year, okay? We do have to pay, $9 an hour for on-call, $30 an hour for, when they actually come. But we didn't want to be in the car deal, we don't want to be in their insurance, we don't want to be in any of that stuff. We don't want to be on paying their employees like a wage. They're not our employee, we're paying Brule County, okay? So we get rid of all that paperwork. Also get rid of FICA and all those other things, retirement, any of that stuff. None of that is ours. None of that is ours. So the proposed contract says they want to do on a month-to-month contract. We'd rather not. Month-to-month is, we'd like to go into a 1-year contract. That's I changed theirs from a month-to-month to a 1 year, okay? 60-day notice termination, they want 30-day notice termination. Just, we know already that 60 days isn't enough to get this done. We also put in though, in order to help that we would review the thing in 90 days, see how it's working. And we'd review it again in September, talk about what's going on instead of at the very end in December. I'm trying to remember my changes that we made. There were a couple of dates. They wanted a scheduling 7 days in advance. We just put it reasonably in advance because you could break your leg tomorrow and you're going to get 7 days advance notice, okay? They also wanted, we wanted them to send us invoices, okay? For billing purposes, it's better than just saying we're paying you this much. They would send us an invoice, okay? So that we would have something to work from. We don't pay for equipment, we don't pay for guns, we don't pay for training, we don't pay for any of that stuff. okay? So we're trying to make it clean so that what we have is much more easier to manage, all right? Their duty is to not only, another place we changed is, we had set, if, let's say they did an arrest in our county, they had a deal where they were supposed to do reports within 7 days. That's not always even possible within law enforcement. So they gotta do reports within a reasonable time, and they have to get those filed as necessary with the courts and show up for testimony, things like necessary, okay? But, you know, I'm not advising as to dollars, I'm advising as to the contract. They wrote theirs, we made some changes that we hope they'll accept. They meet on Thursday.
Okay.
So we should try to decide that this is a reasonable offer or not. And then they could maybe decide by Thursday. Okay? Because we're trying to start this for the year. Questions?
Well, so what I get from what you're saying is that our contract's gonna be 40,000 a year, right?
No, I think, I gotta correct Steve maybe a little
Go ahead.
bit. That's our goal
Yeah,
to get to, but in the interim, we don't have the staff available to do that. Okay, because Daryl had to hire another person. And so first of all, both boards would have to agree to what we're doing, and then he's gotta advertise, find somebody, and then they gotta go through training. You know, it might take a year to actually be able to facilitate that.
this whole
So-
thing.
What are we doing in the interim?
So in the interim,
not-
then, is this the $9 on call
And
and the
35.
$30?
Yeah.
That's separate. The 40,000 is when Daryl gets fully staffed then. Is that?
Right.
Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, that's kind of, we're trying to get there, but we don't expect we are there.
Okay,
So
Okay.
in the interim, he may or may not be able to provide me services when I request it, depending on staff.
on staff. But if he can, then it will be $9 for that person on call and $30 an hour when he is called in.
Thanks for
Is that right?
35.
35, okay,
We had in 30 and they changed it to 35.
okay.
And I know you can't tell when you're gonna break a leg or something. So
Right.
how many hours a week are we looking at?
You know, I got two people talking to me at once here.
I have 30 on mine. Do you have 30 on yours?
Yeah, but I think the number is supposed to be 35. We reduced, yeah, that was the new.
So 35?
Yeah,
On the newest one. What, okay, you got the one that my office redid.
Jessica?
Yeah, Jessica gave us that one.
Jessica gave us and put up 30.
She just emailed me.
Will she mail me another one that says 35 then?
Yep, well,
She-
yeah, we're trying to get it approved today so that we can take it back to them.
'Cause then I won't do it until Lloyd signs off on it. So,
Okay, the newest one that you gave me, Steve, says 30 again, but
Yeah, it's supposed to be 35. Yeah.
35.
I didn't get approved that well.
okay.
okay.
So how many hours a week are you looking at?
I don't know that it's by the week, because some weeks I'll need more than others, you know what I mean? It varies, maybe one, so I'm gonna have, some medical work done, okay? So it'll be quite a bunch
Darts,
altogether.
all that kind of stuff, yeah.
And then later I'll have to not do as many to make up for that, you know?
So is the practice still going to be if you receive a call, you're gonna call for the highway patrol first?
We do.
Okay.
I think that's lined out in here.
I haven't seen it, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we can, I think we should meet in executive session and go over some of this line.
You wanna go on more so we can.
Get more so, yeah, this just a general.
You want to go into executive session now, Wayne?
You also have
Let's
the,
finish the rest of the
Take
meeting.
the rest of this and then go into
No.
executive?
Yeah.
So we got an answer for you, we can do that later.
All right.
Steve, have you seen the jail contract one then?
I saw that. It's longer, more complicated, but I don't think it's, as I always tell you about jail contracts, we don't have a lot of we don't have a lot of power.
Okay. So you'd be okay with that one, it's just the,
There's nothing that's changing significantly, except they are talking more about medicines and liability and those issues, which may have come from that last incident.
okay.
So is there an increase in that one too?
The dollar wise, I don't read it.
I think there's $5 increase.
Yeah.
Because that JDC one wasn't that much more than we did last year.
Urine one's still higher, that's kid one is very high.
62 now.
Well, the one we just approved was for Hughes County. We didn't do more for
Oh, you're
Hughes.
one with the nine, you hand that over to him.
But we rarely go to, I mean,
Well, last year.
This is the JDC one.
because they shut down.
Okay. Well,
So do you want a motion then for the Hughes, for the Brule County Jail contract?
The jail contract.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
all aye,
Aye.
motion carried for the jail contract.
And you got the Huron juvenile there?
Yes,
Oh, you got here and I thought it was.
not Hughes.
Huge.
Yes, we don't have hearings yet, no.
Huge, just huge.
All right,
So we had 3 of them, you've signed 2 of them, and we have that one that's left.
Yeah.
well, we just got a few items left here. Let's go ahead and finish them before we do the executive session.
I have a question though, Sheriff Alman. You know, for the vest and stuff, do we still have availability for grant funds for you so we can get some of that equipment? Because at one point, remember, we had money available for that.
For grant funds? I don't recall that, Janita.
Well, that was quite a while back, but they had to, I think Mr. Peterson was still around at this thing. But,
Yeah.
because we had money,
that was-
remember, to,
We used that back in, when we had Homeland Security
yeah,
grants.
so do we have anything like that that we're?
Now that Homeland Security money is a big pool put together and the whole region meets and they vote to decide what project to fund.
When's that upcoming? I usually have that.
Catherine goes to that. And, I don't know how often it is. It's every
I'll
2
show you
years
later.
now.
Thanks.
I got the level, I'll show you later.
Thank you.
We have no hospitalization.
No, state's attorney dues, it's before
Yeah,
that.
you're on state's attorney, he had something else he wanted to
That's
do.
what it says. We have not been part of the State's Attorney Association. We're probably one of 2 counties, I mean, in the state that don't do this. But the thing that's happening to us is, because we're not part of the State's Attorney Association, we don't get any of their emails about what's going on. And that's become more relevant sometimes with this voting stuff. I think the interchanges that are going between those state's attorneys saying how they're handling those same issues. And so we kind of need that conduit. And this is the only way we get it, because we're part of the association. It costs us $723. It is helpful to be part of that stuff that's going on and saves us making mistakes while other people have already made, or watching what they're doing, or just how to do something simpler or better for the county. In the past, we haven't felt that it's been that productive, but those things that are coming through now are
Times
making
change.
us, yeah. So we're asking you to make us part of this. Each of the offices is part of an association. This is the first time we've asked. I think it's time,
750.
723.
So do I have a motion?
I'll second.
All aye?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
Should have been a part of that a long time ago.
Well, maybe, but we've got by, but it's gotten more.
Well, we
More-
get by, but you know what? We pinch pennies on shit.
Yeah.
We don't need to pinch pennies on.
$700 is not pennies sometimes, but I understand, I appreciate it, but it will help the county.
okay. No hospitalizations from November. Treasurer's report, yeah.
And it was dead even this for November, I think I stuck it out in the back, and you also have a copy just
Okay.
like this.
All right.
So we were on, so,
You
That
can
is
review
good.
it at your own time.
yep. And everybody has a copy if they want it in the back. I went ahead and saw onto the next thing where it says the human relations. I wasn't sure who does it or how it gets done, but I just tried to put together, this is the salaries, this is what a percentage would look like. Because we were already looking at doing the ARPA funds, so I went ahead and put this together, so I knew it would match within the ARPA funds. And then
But
Yeah, the
remember, those
well
ARPA funds are one-time deal.
one and done, I
One-time deals.
understand,
If you're gonna
so,
put them in here, that doesn't necessarily mean they're there next year.
right,
so
but that's where
remember
the monies are going at this point. So, and then, so that, I put that together, but that's actually for the next budget, but I wanted everybody to have it and be aware
Okay.
of it because of the next meeting.
Okay.
So, and then down below, if you'll see, I put continuing education. The state is really pushing for 10 hours of continuing ed, whether you're your commissioner. I know you went to your convention, so that meets the 10 hours of continuing ed. I know Lowell has gone to quite a few different things. So if you guys go to a continuing ed, I'm just asking that you give the certificate so that we can just add it to it and say, this is how many continuing ed that you've done. And that's everybody, treasurer, auditor, anybody else, lawyers, you name it. They're just asking for continuing education.
Okay.
So that's that part. And then I have another, the memorandum of understanding for the SDSU. She came last year and did this extension, so this would be another signature for Lloyd if you guys approve this one.
how much is she offering to take from us this year?
I think it's the same. We didn't, oh, nope, you're on 25, here you go. I think in the body right there, it had 2,000 something.
Oh, 2177.
And that's what I think about what we've.
So do I have a motion to approve this memorandum with the SDSU Extension Service?
I make a motion.
Is she saying that she's coming here, or our kids are still going to Washington Springs?
She usually comes here, or at least to Gannett Valley.
I think is that the extension that your wife does stuff with? Is that?
In Springs,
Yeah.
Teresa Fonder runs that office in there.
So that isn't her. I thought maybe that was together. I'm
I
not
think
sure.
they're coming to see to do some stuff too.
She's,
I'll second.
yeah, Audrey Shields, the
Is the extension.
Yeah, there you
She's
go.
the-
Yeah.
You want to hand that back?
You got your second.
Okay. Motion, all aye,
Aye.
motion carried. All right, we need a motion to approve the vouchers.
I'll make a
There's,
motion.
there's some more, just the vouchers that you have. We talked about it with two of them that are in here. We already talked to the attorney. Those are some things that,
From the jail.
We talked about
yeah, and so those two will be in there. So that will be Brule County, and the South Dakota DOT sent a bill today, so I'll go ahead and add that one. And then we have Wayne Willman, so if we add that one, that will be for his cell phone for the last year.
Okay. So what was the DOT thing about?
Here we go. It's an invoice that we got. And then the other one that I got was Jacob Richardson
That was for that.
to ride along. He went along with,
That patient hall.
so,
We talked
And then-
about that earlier.
yep. So should we put a contract? Just that, like if he goes to ride along with that, I know that we have like a contract. Should he sign something like that?
wouldn't hurt, but I don't think we always know ahead enough to do it, but. Is she the one that's like, I mean, do you trade people sometimes doing it, or?
That's what
she-
it's on.
I know. who it is.
Oh,
Is she the one that does it, or is it just whoever might be available kind of thing?
So what's that?
When you have a ride along, because you have a mental illness, carry. Kind of whoever you find, right?
Whoever,
Having-
I
if
tried, I tried 4 people before,
Yeah, that's okay.
went that way.
So-
They were all ex-policemen, they're all busy.
I know.
So this is,
I'm not concerned about a contract in particular.
oh, that's why I was asking, would that
It wouldn't
cover
hurt.
it? And then is there a cap on dollar amounts?
I was kind of wondering how we arrived at the dollar amount and
What's a typical, what was it, what was the bill? I don't think, they're.
$30 an hour.
I don't know that, it's up to you guys, but.
I don't always get anybody else cheaper to ride with.
Usually it's law enforcement, ex-law enforcement, if we can, not always. Because you don't understand, I mean, you have to stop and go to the bathroom, and
You're responsible.
people sometimes take off, there's all kinds of crap that goes on. It is not,
It's not a one-person job.
No,
You should really have two people.
when they
And then
take
you
two
talked
people,
about
it's just because they
female.
think they
Do you
can.
want to talk about that at all?
Well, try to get a female matron if you're hauling a female.
Yeah, that's another
There's
issue.
one available, but if there isn't, there isn't.
Yeah. it's-
So would that cover it if we were to do that? Just make a
Yeah. you
blanket
could.
statement on that?
Yep.
If I can give
Have
him
sign
like
that.
20 copies of that, he can,
Yep, sign.
okay, okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers.
A second,
I'll second.
all right. All right, our next meeting is.
No, we need to go into executive.
I know, we'll do
No.
that, but
We talked
I'm not
about
sure everybody wants
January
to sit here and wait for an executive.
Yeah, it's gotta be January 3rd, the next meeting.
Yeah, I made a mistake on there. It said the 10th, but I'm gonna make it
Okay.
the 3rd because codified law
Codified
says
law.
it has to be.
The first Tuesday.
Okay, we'll go into executive session.
Let's go to this contract.
And what's it in regards to?
This contract.
Contract.
Contract?
We'll go through them paragraph by paragraph.
Oh, man.